Okay, the first thing you're going to do is cut a circle out of this square piece of paper. And to do that, I want you to fold the paper in half, both directions, and put a good crease in it. I use the back side of my thumbnail. After I get it folded, I come back and put that crease in it, so I have a good line there. Next thing you're going to do is use one of these templates. It's a quarter circle. And I'm going to lay it down, and this is where it's a little tricky. You want to make sure on here that the open sides, these are the open sides, that's the folded sides. You want the open sides, or you want the curve of the circle facing the open sides of the folded piece of paper. And then you line it up. I want to make sure I've got just a tiny space on both edges, right here, little tiny space here, so that I can actually trace around the stencil. And then you're going to cut this out. Please make sure you throw the scraps away. And then there's one more step. After you get it cut out, if you open it up, just leave it a half circle. And this folded edge right here, I want to bring that up to the center where that crease line is, and make sure I have a good point down here. This is making all of the pie pieces for our other template. Crease it using my thumbnail again. Do the same thing on the other side. Bring it to the center. Crease it. That way you have all 8 sections for the mandala. Next, you're going to trace your pattern inside these sections. There's a little tiny trick to it that you need to be aware of. So here's one that I've started. And if you look at this, I've got a longer point here and a really short point here. And this is my pie piece. Well, if I were to take this and then move it around here, they would not line up. So to get this to work correctly, you'll start by, imagine I put this underneath here and I trace it. Then when I do the one next to it, I flip this template around and trace it so that it lines up on these lines on this crease. You've got to remember to do that. So here I would put it underneath, and for this part you can use either the light board, which I only have 3 light boards and they have to be used up at the front table, or you can use the window. To use the window, you would actually tape this piece on the window and then put your paper on top of it. For here, we'll put this on the light board, and you're going to line it up at the point and one of the edges. The upper edge, we're not going to worry so much about getting that lined up because this is not perfectly lined up with this stencil. So at this point, then you want to get a fine tip Sharpie and start outlining each one of the sections. So you can do it in pencil if you want to at first, but then you're going to have to come back and redo all that pencil and Sharpie. But if you're unsure, you can start it this way. Now, here's what I want to show you. So if I do this line, and then I do this line. Now, if I move this right like this, and line it up on the point, and that crease, this is where it's not matching up. Okay, not matching up at all. So this is where I need to flip it or mirror it, line it up on that crease again, and here I'm going to actually try and connect the parts where it touches. Okay, so the only way to get this to line up is to actually flip it around back and forth. And that's also why we outline in a Sharpie, so it'd be easier to see through from the back side of it. Okay, so you will work around your circle, go slow, make it very neat, and get this whole thing filled in with your line drawing. and then we'll talk about adding the color later.